Hello and welcome to the Deep Jump NBA podcast. My name's Sean and joining me as always is the one and only Dante Boffin, Mr. Boffin Man. How are we?
As always, huh?
As always. First time in 9 weeks.
Bloody hell. Good to be back.
Yeah, good to be back.
Good to be back. I haven't watched a basketball game in...
Don't fucking lead with that. God, say it at the end. So legally you've fulfilled your commitment of saying, hey, this is a basketball pod.
So you're saying under promise, over deliver.
Yeah.
I just say be honest with the listeners.
Alright.
Well,
mate, now I look back.
That's what I've always tried to do.
So you've been watching like 3 games a day. You've been watching more games in India.
I've been grinding. If you wanted an in-depth breakdown of Kevin Durant's first 3 games as a Phoenix Sun, tune in because that's what this episode is about. No, but in all seriousness, I listened to last week's episode of the pod.
Made just for you.
Yeah, made just for me. I did get a little bit giddy at the amount of times my name was mentioned, thinking, thank God these blokes haven't forgotten about me in my absence. But you asked Lucas, or vice versa, what's the percentage chance that I'm on the pod this week?
Yeah.
And I think the answer that was settled on was 10%.
That's exactly right.
And, you know, 2 things. Number one, I couldn't help but be a little bit like, oh, they don't think I've got that dog in me. That podcast dog. Okay, they think I'm slacking off. And number 2, look at me. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here.
The 10th percentile.
I'm
Mr.
him.
Buffman Man. Welcome
I'm him
on.
against all odds.
Yeah, against all odds with Cousin Cell. We need to come up with another Deep 2 version of Cousin Cell. Cousin
Mickey.
Cousin Mickey, sure.
We
won't talk about India the whole entire trip because you're going to be doing a lot of that.
Talking about Nepal some as well.
But we'll be talking a lot of that off air. But just one question I want to ask is, did you have any... Now, you say you didn't watch basketball, but did you have any basketball moments when you were over there? Did you walk into a temple and just see like a fucking basketball ring, or was there like a symbol jersey on display somewhere?
No, nothing really like that, but I was manifesting like literally the whole time that there would be a basketball hoop with a ball. Like when we were trekking through the Himalayas, I was really hoping that there would be like a bigger village that had like a hoop or something. No luck. When we were in Kolkata, though, in amongst all the cricket fields, bloody hell, those blokes love cricket. There was like 30 games going on at the same time over this like a vast expanse of a field.
Of what? Of cricket?
Of cricket.
Yeah.
There was a basketball court, and we went in, and you know, I was with my brother Louis, and we went in, and there was like these old blokes at like almost like a kiosk kind of thing. Clear that they were focusing on the cricket, but we went in and I was just like, oh, basketball, and they were like, yeah, basketball, and I was like, you know, motioning with my hands like, do you have a ball? Do you have a ball? This old bloke went to the shed, came back with a really nice basketball, just gave it to us, and then we just shot around, played a little bit of one-on-one for like 10 minutes, really starting to get into it, like feeling good to have a ball in my hands, and then the bloke comes over and goes, only for a little while. Only for a little while. And we're like, what do you mean? He's like, only for a little while. And then he just grabs the ball. He's like, asks for the ball, and I give it to him, and he just walks off and puts it back in the shed. And I thought he was taking it because someone else wanted to use it. Someone who, like, you know...
Had paid for it
or had some affiliation more right to use it than we did. But no, he just put it back. And we were like packing up our bag and getting ready to go, having a drink of water, because it was like 33 degrees when this was happening. And then he comes back and he's asking for money. Yeah. And I was like, mate, I would have given you a couple hundred rupees if you had just let us keep the ball. But you've given us but a tantalising taste of what we came for, and now you're asking for money. Yeah. Anyway, I gave him 50 rupees. So that was my only basketball, like my only physical
That's a really good one.
experience, other than being in Nepal. And having been out doing tourist things the whole day and coming back to the hostel at like maybe like 6 or 7 p.m. and getting into Wi-Fi, and then seeing because I was out of network range, I didn't have the oldest notifications about this event. I had all of the new ones that were building on the old ones, and the event was Kevin Durant traded to the Phoenix Suns. And so I got a notification, like a Bleacher Report notification, like first look at KD in Suns jersey. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And it's like Like, how will Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson fit in on the Nets? And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Walked back in and people were going out for beers, and I had to say, like, all right, I'll catch up with that. I just need half an hour to sit down and
process
sift through all of this. So yeah, other than that, minimal contact with basketball.
That is the perfect story. I mean, I didn't actually think there'd be a temple with a hoop in it, but that's the exact story.
Some of those monks, mate. Wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah, damn. I'd love to go there for a cricket tour.
Mate, well, we tried to go and watch a game of cricket at Eden Park in Kolkata. But we got
very
told,
Indian name.
Yeah, isn't it just? Kolkata, a city that was created by the British and was the capital of the British Raj. But we got told by a security guard, if you're not a player, which we clearly weren't, or work for the team, which we clearly didn't, you can't go in.
Well, as a fan to watch.
Yeah, it was like state league, like level cricket.
Sure, they've got the audience to like just watch like fucking second div state.
Yeah, it's a 60,000 person stadium. It's bloody empty.
Yeah.
But we were there at the same time as all the cricket's been going on, so I did try and keep myself abreast of the Australia and India test results, so that when I got asked about it 8 times a day, I had something to say.
Yeah.
Bloody good by the Aussies in the last one to get India all out for 109 in the first innings.
You're really good on you.
I'll tell you that,
I'm so
mate.
proud of you.
Bloody good. That young fella with the wicket.
Oh
good.
god, it's like that young fella from Richmond. It'd be great to see him get a game this year. He's got a good kick on him, but he can pass. And if you can pass and run, there's a spot for you in any footy club, isn't there?
Bravo.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing for the next 4 months. But speaking of Kevin Durant, another guy with a good leg on him. Actually not. He slipped today. He slipped today during warm-ups. Did you see that?
No. Is that why he didn't play?
Yeah, that's why he didn't play. He was going
hell.
he was warming up, took a couple of jump shots here, there, dribbled in to dunk the basketball, and as he's like planted his foot to jump, there was like must be something on there, and he slipped, and now he's getting a scan on his ankle.
Really?
Yeah, you can't be a Phoenix Sun fan and just expect good things to happen without any just little asterisks.
That's why I've always said never dunk in warm-ups. I've always said it.
Yeah, I've always said that. But we have to ask you.
Well, that's bloody. I mean, you can ask me after, but that sucks.
Yeah, it does suck.
I didn't see that because I've been back for a day and spent the whole day running around. That's terrible. At least we'll always have the 3-game stretch where he and Devin Booker scored 188 combined points, most ever by new teammates in their first 3 games.
Yeah, fuck.
Yeah, I follow the NBA on Instagram. Yeah.
But yeah, I have to ask, you're a Phoenix Suns fan. What do you think about getting Kevin Durant? What do you think about the trade? We've got the details down here. We're not going to repeat them again because if you've listened to a basketball podcast in the past couple of weeks, you've heard them. Yeah. But what do you think, Dante Boffer, about the trade?
Yeah, I think it's good, and I think it's pretty. Maybe the first round picks and pick swap value is a little bit overplayed there, but you can't really be hand wringing about sending out late 2020s first round picks when you have arguably still a top 3 player in the league coming to your basketball team. And the only other way for the Suns to have gone would have been to try and move Chris Paul on and kind of like take a semi-step back, or at least push pause and try and retool. Yeah. You couldn't...
Like maybe get Fred VanVleet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You couldn't really take a full step back. We're too committed with the roster and having Booker in his prime. So I think going all in is the complete right call. Hurts to give up Bridges. That really sucks, but obviously, again, you're not getting Kevin Durant for less than that.
Yeah.
I probably would have preferred that, if Ayton was someone of interest there to be that he could be included in the deal.
So a Ayton Johnson for
swap out Bridges,
KD Claxton, or
Chris Paul can make any scrub any scrub centre look
like Biombo.
Decent. Yeah, like Biombo. I mean, JaVale McGee 2 seasons ago was awesome. I don't doubt that we would have been able to figure something out. And I think with giving up Cam Johnson, he's been injured this year. We don't know what that's going to look like going forward. It seems like he's been playing well since he's come back, but meniscus injury is always a bit iffy, and he's coming up to restricted free agency, so at least we can avoid paying him potentially $20 million plus. where it's clear that he's less deserving of 20 million than Bridges is.
Yeah, also should have done the maths there, but if he didn't sign the deal, he's still a free agent, is that?
Cam Johnson.
Ken Johnson, yeah. If he had signed an extension, he would be under the poison pill provision, and that first year salary would be like an average across all 5 years, whatever he tacked on to that rookie deal. I don't know if the money would work if it wasn't for that.
Yeah.
So that's actually like...
Well, he also... I think we offered him like 4 years, 60 or something.
Yeah.
So he's clearly thinks that he's worth 80 to 100. So,
yeah.
And you'll probably get it. I mean, who are the Nets paying other than Ben Simmons? Right
Yeah. And the Nets have said that they're going to try and trade Ben Simmons just for whatever they can this offseason, which is really fun. I'd actually like to see, like...
Is it?
Well, in a market... Has
anything with Ben Simmons been fun for the last 18 months?
No, it's going to be fun to see him traded for just dead salary, where it's just like an Evan Fournier type contract.
God, I wanted to like him so much. I wanted to like him.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. But okay, so you're happy with the deal as a Phoenix Sun, and do you feel like you're in the driver's seat to win the title?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I'm my mother's son, Sean Carroll.
But
at best, cautiously optimistic.
Can you drop the cautious? You've got Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. Yeah, tell me the stat again. They put up the most points together for new teammates.
New pair of teammates in their first 3 games together. God, basketball is made for arbitrary stat lines. Like, there's nothing standardized about any of the... Yeah. Oh, my God.
Well, I saw a stat today that Kawhi Leonard, across his whole entire career, has played a total of 6 or 7 games while his team has been under 500. So, like, if he was injured, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
But if he plays the game, then that team has been over 500 his whole entire life, apart from a handful of instances.
Pity that he's missed more than he's played over the last
but also
5 years.
Like, even just this season, every time he touches the court as a Clipper, I think today was like he was at risk of dipping to 500 or below this game. They beat the Toronto Raptors.
That's clutch.
He also, because he wanted to keep the streak alive. He also had a really good game today, and he's like doing 2-foot dunks. He had 2 poster dunks today.
What's Paul George up to?
He's just drilling threes. Like, he had 44 the other day, making his shots. But they signed this guy called Russell Westbrook. I don't know if you've heard about him.
How's that gone?
Terrible. Like,
really?
It is like when he's on the Lakers and he's stinking it up, it's like, you're paying him $44 million, but you can at least look at it and go, okay, he signed the Supermax because he's Russell Westbrook, and it's like, oh, cool, this guy should be good, but he's not. That sucks. But he got bought out after a trade to the Jazz, and then the Clippers signed him on the minimum, being like, we're going to bring you into our basketball organization to play games. And he's just not getting guarded whatsoever. And Kawhi Leonard... I saw the
Draymond one doing the rounds.
But Kawhi, when he's at his best, is a guy who's like... He's going to draw a double without a screen whatsoever. Your team has 2 of those guys right now. But he's a guy who the whole offense is going to be based around him creating an advantage, and maybe like swing. You've got a wide open Terrence Mann or something, and you just need your point guard to shoot. He doesn't even need to hold the ball at any point in the possession. And Russell Westbrook is just... Not only does he like to hold the ball and just get in the way, but he can't shoot without the ball. And teams are just like letting him take as many threes as he wants. He took 2 corner threes today and missed them both. And it's just, he was running back down on defense, and he's holding the follow through. He's sort of like shaking it, like moving his hand again, just seeing if there's something wrong with his action. And it's like, this is done. And Paul George just coming in to stab the team in the back again. I'm a Paul George fan, but he's just come in here and he's said to the front office, we have to sign Russell Westbrook. He can be good. I played with him in OKC. Don't worry, bring him in like this. We're going to fix it. Well, you're wrong.
Basketball players, not always the best personnel.
Yeah.
Decision makers. Exhibit A, James, LeBron. It's been 4 seasons now since Russell Westbrook was like an elite player. And even then, he undoubtedly was, an elite player his last year in OKC. But the warts have always been there.
Yeah.
And it's embarrassing, putting my Skip Bayless hat on here, Stephen A hat. But it's that Draymond video where Draymond is literally like 4 feet into the paint when Westbrook has the ball at the top of the key. That's embarrassing that you didn't shoot that. If you're not comfortable shooting a standstill three with no momentum, take a dribble. He wasn't coming out. Take 2 dribbles in and pull up.
Yeah.
People used to do, talk about Ben Simmons when he was actually good. People used to do that to Ben Simmons, and he would
just
get to the rim. He'd have a runway and he'd power up and get there and then just be a good finisher, and that's how he's shooting 60%. So you couldn't really sag off him too much, because although he wasn't going to shoot, he was just going to get into the lane, and like Westbrook is just not able to finish at the rim. And if he's not shooting it, like goodness me, is he like where are you at with? So as I understand, they've let John Wall depart.
He was traded for Eric Gordon,
and they're bringing in Westbrook for the John Wall role.
Yeah,
has he been better than John Wall?
Nah. Well, John Wall was demoted, and Terrence Mann was promoted to the starting point guard. And Terrence Mann is the perfect guy next to Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, because defends his ass off and he can catch and shoot, and he just loves to cut.
Yeah.
He's the perfect player. And today they closed with Terrence Mann at the point, and Eric Gordon, since he came, has been closing every single game for the Clippers. Yeah. I don't know why I've been watching so many Clippers games after the deadline, but
is that good?
That's good enough. I think that's good enough. I think if Kawhi Leonard is a top 5 player in the world, which he's looking like he is, that lineup's good enough. Zubac at the 5, they're not trying. Robert Covington out at all, really. He's like literally riding the bench. Portland killed him, Terry Stotts. I think that's good enough with Terrence Mann there. But your question was, is he better than John Wall? I honestly don't know. I think it's very similar. Like, you've got these big name superstar point guard. That should be the answer, but their name's just bigger than what they are on the court.
Yeah.
John Wall, currently a free agent, hasn't signed with anyone.
He got bought out by the Rockets.
I think he did. If he didn't, he's just away from the team in Houston, and will just continue to be paid by Houston.
We ever heard that one before?
Well, you probably missed that stat as well. After the deadline, the final number on Houston is they're paying their roster something like $30-40 million, and they're paying
$30 or $40 million,
and they're paying the buyouts collectively around $40 to $50 million.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. It's like Derek Favors is in there, Eric Gordon.
Derek Favors is in there.
Derek Favors got dumped there.
Pull the other one. Derek Favors on the Houston Rockets bench. On the Houston Rockets books.
On the Houston Rockets books. God, the numbers are blanking on me, but just a couple of random old dudes that you forgot existed that they just got traded there with. They got a second round pick for their troubles, but they're paying more money to buyouts than they are for their actual roster.
What is Ralph Stone up to?
Well, the Houston Rockets are fucking so bad. They're doing such a good job.
Are they last in the confy?
I believe they are.
They're last in the left. Only by a game. It's neck and neck. San Antonio's second last.
Well, so you missed the Milwaukee Bucks 16-game win streak, but you missed the San Antonio Spurs 17 loss streak.
How the fuck are the Jazz the 13 seed?
Yeah, well, look how close it is.
No, I know, but talk about things that were different 2 months ago.
No Mike Conley.
Yeah.
No Jared Vanderbilt. No Malik Beasley. They just sort of lost a lot
Where
of
did
depth.
Mike Conley end up?
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Point guard carousel.
D'Angelo Russell's on the Lakers?
Yeah.
Where have I heard that one before? Bloody hell. Yeah, a bit's going on.
A bit has gone on.
Yeah.
Jared Vanderbilt, which, everyone in our group chat loves him. We like Jared Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Perfect centre. Perfect power forward next to Anthony Davis, where it's they both can switch a little bit, but also Vando just doesn't have that rim protecting ability. Now he's got Anthony Davis behind him where they can play a switching role. But if he wants to be the guy that gets up to the screens, he knows he's got a 5 behind him, which can make up for all his mistakes. He's had a couple of games that are 9 and 13, 2 blocks. It's super sexy, but because he's wearing the purple and gold, he's now mainstream. And it's just a little bit harder to appreciate him when you see a Laker doing well and everyone on social media be like, this dude's the 3rd star, and it's oh, I liked him better when he was in Utah. Not to act like a fucking hippie.
No, I understand though. Seriously, one of LeBron James' greatest accomplishments. And did you know that he recently became the NBA's all-time leading scorer?
Where were you when that happened?
Somewhere. Not paying attention.
Well, he was a I think it was just like a one dribble pull. Turnaround on Kenrich Williams.
Yeah.
While I think it was Jalen Williams Thomas Bryant was posting up because he hadn't been traded to Denver then. And he's sitting there like LeBron's 1 point away from the record, and Thomas Bryant's like, "I've got a smaller guy on me. Give it."
You can't teach that kind of game IQ though from Thomas Bryant. Situational basketball.
But he made the shot and then scored 2 points in the final quarter, and they lost the game to the OKC Thunder, which is pretty big for the standings.
And then they got him back a couple of days ago, didn't they?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, one of his biggest accomplishments ever is making me root for the Lakers that season where they were, where they won, and be pleased for the Lakers winning the title, and
Danny Green doing it again.
Happy for the players, and because I spent most of my basketball watching life, i.e. every single season before that and every single season after that, just hating the Lakers. But he was able to unite the tribes on that one.
And we even liked Anthony Davis then. Yeah.
The next season when we played in the playoffs, I literally was doing like air pumps, like air fists when I was doing something with my hands when Anthony Davis got injured and wasn't going to be able to play against us. I was like, fuck you, like really kind of. And just a season before, LeBron James had really brought me into the marquee of Laker sympathising, and there I was being happy for him. So now it's just it's hard. It's funny to kind of be back on the Nelson from The Simpsons point and ha kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So LeBron James is out. He's out for the rest of the season, or he's out for a few weeks, or what's going on?
He's reevaluated in a couple of weeks, but there's 3 weeks left in the season. So it's like if he didn't play for the Lakers and he wasn't LeBron James, he would be ruled out for the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's looking kind of grim. Like he's in a walking boot at the moment, and reevaluated doesn't mean he's coming back in 3 weeks. Yeah. So he might be out for the rest of the season. D'Angelo Russell's had a couple of niggling injuries, and it's literally just like Dennis Schroeder's making a couple of mid-ranges. Anthony Davis has to do incredible stuff. They beat the Warriors the other day. And yeah, it's like best of luck getting in there, but you might not even have LeBron because they're going to have to play 2 games in the play-in. Yeah. And they might not even have LeBron for that.
Well, they might not, looking at the standings, they might not even make the play-in because there's 3 teams that are 1 game behind them and they're currently 9th. Tied for 9th. But the Thunder, the Blazers and the Jazz are all tied for one game behind.
Yeah, the Thunder are a weird one because we are seeing a little bit of SGA resting again. Resting / injury, but like every time he plays, it's like a 40 burger and he looks great. He's like not playing back-to-backs. Yeah. So even though this season has been the season where they've let him loose, he's become an all-star. He might even be an all-NBA player this year.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, what do you reckon the odds are on that?
Curry, Doncic, Booker.
Well, Booker might be. I mean, Booker wasn't an all-star because of games missed, so I don't know if that's going to.
Yeah, he's looking. But I'm just trying to do it in my head.
Lillard.
Yeah, he might. I mean, 3rd team. Like I'm just trying to.
There's only 6 of them. Yeah,
who we'll talk about in a minute.
But for comparison's sake, SGA has played 56 games and Devin Booker has played 38.
Oh, wow. So okay.
There's the Suns have. Hold on, I'll get back to you in a minute. The Suns have played 66. Yeah, I'll call it 66. 66 games, which means they've got 16 games left, which means the maximum amount of games Booker can get to is 54.
That's enough. You need over 50, I think.
I reckon. I don't know. I mean, like in every year for the last 10 years, I've listened to Zach Lowe and Kevin Pelton, or is it Kevin Arnowitz? It's one of the Kevins. Do their All NBA ballots, and each of them are sitting there saying, if there's a tiebreaker, it's got to be games played. And 56, you're going to lose a tiebreaker to everyone for that.
But yeah, anyway, OKC, despite letting SGA go and say, go off and do it, they are sort of doing that semi-resting thing.
He's averaging 31 points a game. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
And
it's so repeatable. It's so repeatable. He either bullies people down or he gets around them from the perimeter, and it's just a pull up from like 2 feet. And it's unblockable, and it's, like I said, repeatable.
And he's not shooting threes.
And next season, they're adding a high draft pick. They've got heaps of draft picks in the late lottery, which they can swing for something else. And they're getting Chet Holmgren back.
Wouldn't it be funny if SGA has finally like blossomed into like the maximum idea of like what you thought he could be, and really proven it, and then Chet Holmgren turns out to be shit?
That's all right then, because they got so many bites of the apple.
Yeah.
Because it's not all for Chet.
So you're saying Sam Hinkie was right?
What? Did it take heaps of bites?
Yeah.
Yeah, you already know that. You already know I think he's right. What other teams do you want to talk about? The Brooklyn Nets have been fun. It's every single defensive 3-and-D wing you've ever wanted.
Yeah, so it's Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and who else they got?
Yuta Watanabe.
Yeah.
Royce
I've never wanted him.
Royce O'Neal.
I've never wanted him.
TJ Warren, if he's healthy.
Mate.
There's that other guy.
Is Yuta still shooting 57% from 3?
No, he's shooting 78. Come on, let's look at some rosters together. What's this pod looking like for minutes, by the way?
Yuta's shooting 48% from 3. That's bloody crazy. 25 minutes. He's shooting 48% from 3, but he's averaging 6 points a game.
But yeah, we could get into a bit of a fire sale come the off season for the Brooklyn Nets, because they do just have like an island of misfit toys. Like they've got Spencer Dinwiddie if you just want to like bring in like a semi-starting point guard. They've got all these tools and all these pieces, but like you just don't know what the collective looks like.
Well,
but
last time they had an island of misfit toys, they did a consolidation trade to bring in a couple of NBA superstars. So maybe we could see them try that move again.
But they also don't have their own first
Kyrie
round
Irving's
picks.
a free agent in the offseason.
So if you just sign your starting point guard and then trade for a second piece, you're back on top.
Yeah, there you go.
But Mikal Bridges has been putting up a few 30 burgers.
Yeah, Mikal
And
Bridges
is creating his own shots.
I'm not surprised to see that, and I think you and Lucas talked a little bit about it on last week's pod. I am surprised to see him like going for 38.
Like the volume. Yeah.
I am definitely surprised to see that, but I'm not at all surprised to see him like averaging in the low 20s with him, able to like actually.
I just find it weird seeing him shoot mid ranges, like off the dribble middies, where like he's using screens. I find that weird.
But he's so like he's kind of built like Kevin Durant in that he's so long and thin that he can kind of. As long as he gets enough space, he can get the shot up over anyone. And it's a nice release. So, and he has just every year watching him for the last 4 or 5 years just added something to his game. Like he only started shooting pull-up jump shots in any situation like 2 seasons ago. Other than that, he was just a dive to the rim, cut, and spot-up shooter. So for him to be, he's like 25?
I think so.
For him to be kind of in his 4th or 5th season and only have 2 seasons of reps of putting up those kind of shots, for him to now have the training wheels off and be able to say like you're feasibly like the number one option here, I'm not surprised to see him doing well.
Yeah. Do you want to move on to the Ja Morant news? That was just before you came back. I've
kept up somehow with this one.
Yeah. So a little bit of an abridged version for people who are listening, because you probably know exactly what happened. But he was brandishing a gun on Instagram Live at a club in Colorado following, I think it was a loss to the Denver Nuggets, which was a pretty big game between the 1 and 2 seed. Now the tied 2 seed with the Sacramento Kings.
Bloody hell.
But yeah, the NBA was investigating how he got the gun. It's illegal in the CBA to bring a gun on an NBA trip. So if that was his gun that he brought to Memphis on an NBA plane, then he could be suspended or just face some kind of sanction from the NBA. Whether that happened or not, or whether his friend brought the gun to the club with him. In Colorado, you're not allowed to hold a gun while under the influence. So then you start thinking, oh, well, did he buy any drinks? Did he drink him? Was it his gun? What the hell happened there? The police, I don't know which police force it was, but the police in Colorado have dropped the investigation because no one actually complained at the time of him holding the gun. So they said, well, if there's no complaints, this is way too hard an organisation for the things I just mentioned, too hard an investigation for the things I mentioned, so they decided not to do that. But it is just sort of like, this has happened now. Ja Morant, his future's a little bit up in the air, because he initially said he was going to take 2 games away from the team just to think about what he did and what it means to be a leader, and just, you know, a little bit of self-reflecting and how he deals with stress. That was the key point he used multiple times in his statement, just how he deals with stress. And then since then, he's now missed 3 games or 4 games, and then it was reported today that he's going to miss the next 4 games. They are twice against Dallas, once against Golden State, and once against the Miami Heat. So, like, big games.
So 3 games against your direct conference rivals.
Yeah, direct conference rivals who you might be facing in the first round, or
in Golden State's not out of the running to catch them without Ja. I mean, Dallas won't catch them in the standings, but Golden State could.
So yeah, it's a weird one. What do you make of it when you saw the video, when you saw the news report, and everything?
Obviously, like, the video is so fucking cringy. Like, so like try something else.
Yeah.
If you're looking for stress management techniques, this isn't it. But it's concerning. Like, you know, I don't want to like moralize or whatever, but like, obviously we come from a different culture with regards to guns and gun ownership and the role of the gun in society. But this isn't the first gun-related thing that he's kind of dealt with. It's the second, because there was a month or so ago, or maybe it was even before I left. I don't know, time.
I think it was while you were gone. Yeah.
But he was in an altercation, like a physical altercation, where he was like taunting members of the Pacers travelling party, I think was the exact way that was phrased. So whether those are like family and friends or like lower team employees or whatever, probably getting involved in some place where he didn't need to. And then as they were driving out of the stadium, someone in the car that he was in pointed a red light.
It was a laser.
The sort that you do see on top of a gun sometimes at people in the car.
But they checked the security footage and couldn't see through the windows whether it was a gun. But like, what are you doing with just a laser?
Well, yeah, exactly. And if you are doing it with just a laser, you're using the laser to simulate that you've got a gun. So there's like a bit of a problematic, like, kind of thug cosplay. Sorry, I meant slug. That's a good one.
That is a good one. If you didn't say it, I was going to say it.
There's a bit of like a gangster cosplay thing going on here. And then he beat up some high school kid.
Yeah, he was accused of beating up a 17-year-old at a pickup game at his house, I think.
Yeah.
And the victim is alleging that he punched him in the face multiple times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and then, you know, the video of him in the nightclub is you know, like, it's cringy, but it's also clear that he's trying to emulate some of the societal kind of examples around like gang culture and like the intersection between like prominent athletes, rappers, gang culture, guns, violence, which you can do it in your spare time. Don't put it on Instagram. You want to do that, like, do it. I don't know, do it somewhere where the cameras aren't on. Anyway, that's enough moralising. Obviously, it's fucking stupid. But this is something that doesn't have a clear resolution, right? Because the Grizzlies tried to frame it in a certain way and put parameters on it, and those parameters have already been exceeded.
Yeah.
Add in the fact that the NBA has got an investigation, you know, ongoing. The NBA is not known for speedy investigations, but if that was to be resolved, you know, before the end of the season, that they found that he did bring a gun on the plane.
Yeah. Well, the only precedent we do have is Gilbert Arenas, who obviously had the gun incident where he brought it into the locker room, and he was suspended for the rest of the game, which just conveniently counted for 50 games.
Yeah.
So some people are throwing the 50 word around, saying, "Oh, is Ja going to miss the next 50 games?" That's not a clean cut. You know, it's not like David Stern was like, Gilbert Arenas 50 games. It was just the remainder of the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is sort of unprecedented territory, and Adam Silver's going to be able to, you know, I don't think this is as bad as bringing it into the locker room. That was obviously much worse. But Adam Silver's going to have to set a precedent here with a guy breaking the CBA. But then again, it's a tiny little bit grey, because did he break the CBA? How did he get the gun? I'm sure the guys who is with would very much just put their hand up and say, "It's my gun."
Yeah,
but then like,
Well, I mean, maybe they get told to, but who else is bringing the gun? You know, like, is he the three options is that he brought the gun with him on the plane and then for some fucking reason got the gun before going to the club at 2 a.m. the night after the loss.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty bad look that you're you're going to the club at B, like, I'm going to the club, better bring my gun. It's a bit fucked up. The other alternative is that someone else from the Grizzlies has bought the gun on the plane and given it to him and then he's gone to the club. Or that one of his like friend group or someone who he associates with who was in Denver had the gun, brought it to the club, and he just like was like, "Oh man, can I hold your gun for a second? I want to get on Instagram Live." Yeah. But then that, you know, we're getting down the rabbit hole a little bit. But that like, does he just have like a group of people carrying weapons that are following him around on road trips? Like how
it doesn't look good anyway.
Like regardless of how you spin it, like either he is directly implicated in a pretty bad lie, or someone else from within the Grizzlies has broken the rules, which seems to not be the case. Because you're not seeing any of the other Grizzlies players like in any of these.
Fucking Kendrick Perkins tried to bring Jaren Jackson Jr. and Desmond Bain into it, and everyone was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" He mentioned something about how like they just somehow tried to implicate them, and it was like, this is wrong.
It'd be great to be a sports commentator. You can pretty much just say whatever you want.
Paul Pierce had a comment on Instagram, obviously on Twitter. Obviously, a lot of people are weighing in on this topic, and you know you can go listen to them if you want. But Paul Pierce immediately just had a thing talking about, you know, you just don't really know what people have been through. You don't know what it is like to be scared. Sometimes you need to do this. Just giving a different opinion, which is like, you know, fair play to Paul Pierce. He's giving a different opinion there. He's just, you know, maybe shedding light on the situation. But it is quite funny that Paul Pierce, who was fired from his job at ESPN for going on Instagram Live, smoking bud with hookers, is now giving tips on other people who went on Instagram Live and got in trouble. I just thought I'd mention that.
Well, also the attempted blurring of the lines between the idea that Ja might be scared and using the gun for self-defense and like, oh, like he was just discovered with the gun, and it's like, what are you doing with that? And he'd be like, oh, I'm a bit worried, I'm got it for self-defense, and like pointing a gun at someone and going on Instagram Live and like fucking pretending like you're, you know, a crip or something.
Yeah.
They're like, try the other one, Paul Pierce. That's not the one.
In terms of Golden State Warriors fan, maybe even a Phoenix Suns fan, for Ja Morant to not play basketball for, let's say, 50 games, that's good for both of our teams.
Well, I mean, surely it would just be the rest of the season. If it was a quick resolution, it would be the rest of the season and the playoffs. I feel like the weight of missing the entire playoffs would make up for 50 regular season games. Yeah. Because with the way bloody people play nowadays, you're going to miss 50 games anyway. Just look at Devin Booker. Well, particularly when this team was, you know, up until a few days ago entrenched as the 2 seed. Like, the weight of missing the entire playoffs for a championship contender is different from a play-in contender. So. 2
things on that. The NBA is a worse place without Ja Morant, so obviously we want him to play, but we'll have to see what happens. Second of all, I can't wait till years in the future. Friend of the program, LS, goes, oh, fuck, you know, remember that 2 seed Kings? And we're all going to be like, hold on, the asterisk 2 seed, because the only reason you got the 2 seed is because Ja Morant got suspended for holding a gun that year. That's going to be fun.
Bloody hell. The Kings can't have anything nice.
We've got built-in excuses. Do you want to quickly run through this piece of news and wrap up?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, let's do that.
Karl-Anthony Towns is in the, quote, final stages, unquote, of his rehab, but there is, quote, no timetable, unquote, for his return, coming from Chris Hine of the Minnesota Star-Tribune. Welcome to Chris Hine, first mention on the Deep to NBA podcast, took you nearly 4 years.
Slacker.
Wolves were this season, while his Wildcat hasn't been playing, they're 24 and 22, as we know, a little bit depressing. Not much going on in Minnesota. It's a lot of Naz Reid, given that both their centers aren't playing. But could I mean this doesn't seem good. They're hoping that he returns in the regular season, but this might be digging into the playoffs and just further entrenching this as a very lost season for the Wolves.
What's going on with them? Because I believe when he left, that you're saying they're 24 and 22. Means they were under without him, which means they were under 500 with him.
Yeah.
What's going on with Gobert and Edwards and
just like he left it? Anthony Edwards he's trying more from all accounts. There's no bad clips of him slacking off.
Was he an All-Star?
Yes.
Oh, good on him.
It's just the Anthony Edwards show, and we're sort of seeing the limitations of a team that isn't good and has Anthony Edwards as its best player.
Have they just stylistically tried to go Utah, Gobert, pick and roll offense with Ant Edwards in the Donovan Mitchell role, or what are they doing with the French big man?
He hasn't been playing that much.
He hasn't been playing that much.
What's his games played? He was also dealing with some injuries.
55.
In the couple of games I have watched, he hasn't been playing.
Hence Naz Reid.
Who had like a 30 burger against Golden State the other day, which sucked. But I know one like nice little light there is that a throw-in the Mike Conley trade was Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and he's sort of he was doing this in Utah, but he would get a couple of DNP CDs. Now he's really he's the backup 2, backup 3, and is sometimes closing games, playing in the fourth quarter as a long defensive specialist who can just hit his threes. No creation, no passing, is just a 3-and-D role player, which is not what he came into the league as. He came as a 1-2 with a bit of shake, but he's found a role for himself, and he might. I think his contract expires this year, so he might actually be a re-sign candidate.
But
for this
pretty
team.
Wild that they traded God knows how many first-round picks for Rudy Gobert, just so that 3/4 of the way through the season,
that's what I
say.
say.
Talk about Nickeil Alexander-Walker finding a role.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not great. Not great for them, and it's hard. I guess it's hard to get excited because you're Cat's coming back, but all the evidence before the 20 games before he got injured was that it wasn't working well anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly we have to make it through to when Cat comes back. Although maybe they do just play Gobert 24 minutes a game and try and roll out
who knows, man,
a Cat Naz Reid kind of situation, or a Cat
Daniels
situation.
You've got the same problems as last year, don't you?
Well, at least last year they were okay.
They were good on offense, bad on defense, and now it's you just lost. And yeah. Right now, gun to your head or your friend asking you nicely. They're currently one game above 500, tied with the Mavericks for 7th. Are they getting a top 8 seed? Yes, because the bottom 2 in the play-in are Portland, LA, and Utah.
They've got 5 teams
Pels
within 2.5 games of them, and one of those teams is the Lakers.
Yeah, I would say they're better than those other teams.
Yeah.
Unless Zion comes back, but as Marco keeps saying in the chat, still no.
What's been bloody going on with the Blazers? Because they're 31 and 35, 12th, although they are again tied for 11th and only one game outside 9th. But
missing Nurkic.
Wasn't Dame averaging 40 points for a whole month, and he was
scoring 72.
Scored 70,
71.
What's going on?
Missing Nurkic, Drew Eubanks is their major centre, and when they play a man, it's fine, but they've still got 2 point guards who can't defend in Simons and Dame, and their 5, when they play the zone, that just funnels everyone into the 5. The 5 has been Drew Eubanks and I don't know, Jabari Smith, is that his name, or Jabari Walker? It's
definitely not Jabari Smith, but who the fuck is Jabari Walker?
Exactly right. So yeah, they just don't have that defensive big man that they're just funneling all the drives into. And yeah, Dame still can't defend. Anthony Simons still doesn't care about defending. Oh, wait, did I get it right? Yeah, Jabari Walker. Fuck, that's a good one by me. But they did at the deadline pick up Matisse Thybulle for essentially 2 seconds and Cam Johnson, and they've both been playing well. But still, even though you've got 2,
Cam Johnson,
Cam Reddish. I
did that last week.
And their zone looks sick when you've got Jeremy Grant as the point of attack, and then those 2 long defensive wings on the side.
Yeah.
But they've still just got holes at the 1 and the 5. And even though that 2-3-4 is the sexiest defensive glue, there's just problems at either end.
I can't think historically. Presently in the NBA, I can't think of a historically more Portland wing combination than Cam Reddish and Matisse Thybulle.
Doesn't it seem like they've been there forever?
That's I mean, credit where credit is due for these blokes finding the exact same two players to play those two positions every year since 2014.
Yeah, that's so right.
Bloody hell.
Wrap this puppy up?
Yeah, let's wrap this puppy up. You got any housekeeping or anything that you need to get out before we go?
No, just fucking welcome back, Dante. It's good to have you back.
Good to be here.
Welcome back to episode 188 of the Deep to NBA podcast.
Closing in on the
double ton.
How do we say it in Italian?
Quantidodici.
That sounds wrong.
Cinquantadue.
Or isn't cento 100?
I'm not actually Italian.
Well,
but
you fucking fool me. 200 in Italian. Bloody hell, Les isn't going to be happy. Duecento.
What did I say?
Fucking...
Didn't I say it?
Cinquanta quattro or something?
I reckon you're making jokes to cover up that I got it right. This is recorded, I'll have you know.
Alright, well, we'll go back and listen. We're closing in on the fucking Duecento.
Duecento.
Raise the pasta maker after that one.
No, but welcome back. Picked up right where we left off. That's good for the audio medium. Dante, I'll speak to you next week. Peace.